very welcome to University College Cork. Thank you for listening into this conversation. I have the pleasure of being in conversation with Dr. Rosemary Murphy. And Rosemary is co-program director of CK201, which is our Bachelor of Commerce degree here at University College Cork. And she's co-director with colleague Dr. Lawrence Dooley. So lovely to be chatting with you, Rose.
Hi, Jean.
Very welcome.
Thank you so much for having us, Jean. We're delighted to be here with you.
So, Rose, just to kick off, CK201, what is it?
Well, CK201 is our flagship business program in the Cork University Business School, Jean. It's a globally recognized business program which allows students to gain theoretical and practical skills required for employment in the business market. Our BCom program is 4 years in length, and we have a long tradition of leading business education in Ireland. We transcend generations. We've often have students, Jean, who are taking a BCom, whose parents took a BCom at UCC, whose grandparents took a BCom at UCC. So we really transcend generation, but we still maintain and encourage employer input into our academic content. And that is very, very important for us.
If you're a student in school or an adult learner, what would interest you in pursuing the BCom route before we discuss what you do when you're there? So what type of person is attracted to BCom?
Great. In the BCom program, Jean, let me answer that by first of all identifying what is our output. Our output is a graduate who has a solid business degree, yet is specialized in an employment-led thematic area. Mm-hmm. The profile of a graduate of ours, Jean, is someone that is a forward, positive thinker, a critical thinker, a team player as well as a team leader, and really is someone that has the ability to transform the future of business. Now, how do we produce a graduate like that is through our unique design of our program. And we can talk about that further later, Jean, more in depthly. But our unique design offers a flexible learning environment for our students in that in the first 3 years of our program, all significant business modules are rigorously covered. And then, and only then, in year 4, do we ask students to pick an area of specialization. The areas you can see are just up there on screen, Jean. They range from banking and financial markets to HR and leadership to innovation, entrepreneurship and strategy, marketing and consumer understanding, and operations and supply chains. Now, to get back more specifically to your question, that unique design of our program benefits a certain type of leaving cert student at the moment. And this is the type of student who loves business, who knows they want to pursue a career in business and take on a business degree program, but they may not know specifically what area of business they want to focus on. So do they want to become an accountant? Would they prefer to work in HR? Would they prefer to go into banking or marketing? And that type of student is really, really suited to the BCom program because we don't ask the student to pick their specialization right now at the age of 18 or 19. Our program is designed for students to come in who have a love of business and who want to pursue business. They'll take all the significant business modules in the first 3 years of the program at 3rd level standard as opposed to a 2nd level standard. And once they've taken all of these modules, Jean, they then can make a more informed decision as regards their area of specialization. And as you can see from the screen, we have a varied areas of specialization which reflect the diversity of the career paths enabled by our program.
So there's a wonderful sort of a general approach to business, and really you don't have to take these, burdensome decision on your shoulders when you go in, what am I going to be? It's
Absolutely.
a trampoline into which you can.
Absolutely, Jean, because what we find is at the age of 18 or 19, a lot of students aren't even aware of the different business areas you can go into. So they're making very restricted decisions without knowing all the fantastic opportunities that are available in business. So what we say to that student is, don't put pressure on yourself now at the age of 18 or 19 to try and identify what you're going to work in for the rest of your life. As long as you know business, you like business, and you want to pursue a career in business, come into our program. You can take all the business modules in the first 3 years, and then, and only then, you actually pick your area specialization. And also, Jean, for those students who might be listening to us right now who say, well, I actually do know what I want to specialize in. You know, they might have a family business in HR or in marketing. What we say to those students is the BCom is for you as well, because you can fit in lovely into one of our varied thematic majors in year 4, but you'll also have that security blanket that if you do change your mind, and we often have students changing their mind throughout the program, that's okay too. So you have that security that, okay, I want to go into HR, but oh my God, what if it doesn't work out for me? What if I don't like the modules? That is absolutely fine. You have that security to change.
So when I looked at look at the courses on offer at UCC, I see commerce with some things in some instances. Can you speak a little bit about that, Rose?
Yes, indeed, Jean. What we're talking about today is the flagship program for the Cork University Business School, the BCom CK201. Now, the business school have many fantastic programs on offer. And one other program that often may get confused with ours is the BCom International. And that has actually different course codes. And that is where you would take a business degree program that has quite a substantial part of a language in it as well. So you can do BCom International with German, with French, with Chinese studies. There are many different options, but that's not our program today, Jean. It's CK201, which is your traditional Bachelor of Commerce program.
Thank you for the clarification, Rose, because I know that there, when you look at it, you might get a little bit confused from the outside in, but now you've given clarity to that.
Absolutely, Jean. And we actually often find that is an issue of ours, that students don't actually see the difference between the BCom and the BCom International. And what I would say to those students, Jean, is that they're two very distinctive programs.
So when we talk about work-ready and world-ready graduates, what do you do through CK201, which enables the individual to become work-ready? And if you want to talk about world-ready as well.
Absolutely, Jean. Employability is fundamental to our program. And again, if I can revert back to the type of graduate that is our output of our program. This is the graduate that is a problem solver, a positive critical thinker. How do we produce that? Well, our economy is ever changing, Jean, and it requires and demands flexible, commercially astute graduates who are aware of contemporary issues affecting business. Mm-hmm. Now, we guide our students in CK201 and teach our students via 2 paths. Our academic modules, which we just discussed in terms of management, economics, accounting, etc. And then we have professional and personal developmental modules, Jean, which we would consider the spine of our program. These modules are provided and are compulsory in each year of the 4 years of our program. And in these modules, students are offered the flexibility to engage with contemporary issues that will affect firms' survival and overall profitability. And what we find, Jean, is this is getting them ready for the workplace, that they are aware of issues that will be hitting them once they leave the program, and that they've already learned and dealt with them, and they can understand these issues from a theoretical and practical perspective. So let me just give you an example of one of these issues that were examined by BCom 2 last year, Jean. In one of our developmental core modules, students engaged in a project on corporate social responsibility, which is a very contemporary issue at the moment affecting strategies of firms. And our BCom 2 students were divided up into groups. They were assigned different organizations, NGOs, and charities, and they actually engaged with their organizations and devised a fundraising project for them. Academically, they were assessed by writing up the process involved in devising the fundraising project, but also the outcome was, which we were very surprised and delighted with, is that BCom 2 actually raised over 38,000 euros for their different charities. Yeah. So we won on all counts. But again, all these developmental core modules, Jean, are about getting our students employment ready. In third year, Jean, it's a very exciting year for our students because we offer 3 different possibilities. Students can decide to engage in a semester abroad with one of our international collaboration universities for semester 1 and come back in semester 2 to UCC and then engage in our work placement from mid-March to September. Students can decide to stay in UCC for semester 1 and 2 and engage in our work placement from mid-March to September, or students have a third option of applying for a year abroad with one of our partner universities. So the work placement happens in year 3 and it's integral, Jean, to getting our students employment ready. And what we find is that often students come back with a provisional offer of a job, and they actually have that offer in year 4 of their degree. We work very closely with the students, Jean, to get them that work placement that suits their capabilities, that suits their aspirations. And, you know, it just doesn't start in year 3. We build the student up from year 1, working on profiling the students, trying to find their area of interest to get them employment ready.
And how do you, I suppose, build the relationships with employers? And if there are any employers listening, how could they become engaged with you?
Well, Jean, we love engaging with employers, and I think our program wouldn't work as well as it's working now without currently encouraging and maintaining that employer input into our academic content and into the advice that they give our students. Mentorship, we have 4 distinctive features in our program, Jean, and one of those distinctive features is mentorship. And what we mean by mentorship is we have BCom alumni who are current employers now out in the market working with us and our students. So we saw the 5 different thematic majors on screen, Jean, that are provided in year 4, and we have a mentor for each of those majors. So they guide our academic content in terms of what is required for the employment market, but they also help us network with the students. And for students who have any queries about, you know, what area of business is best suited to them, our mentors will advise them. They will talk at length with them. They will set up a meeting in their organization with them to see how the organization works and what type of job is actually involved in it. So they work very, very closely with us. And if there's anybody out there at the moment who would like to get in contact with us, in relation to work placement or internships with our students, please do so if you email bcomdirector@ucc.ie, or indeed myself or Murphy@ucc.ie. We will be more than happy to liaise with you. We actually have our own work placement manager, Jean, for BCom 3, and she actually works very, very closely with the students throughout the year to make sure that we have a high placement percentage. Approximately over 95%, if not more, Jean, of our students are placed every year in the program. And the students who aren't placed, the very few students who do not get a placement, are often students who self-select not to be placed due to personal reasons.
And Rose, so you're very clearly involved with the employer almost on a daily basis, and it's a very, very key relationship. From your perspective, your academic perspective, and your interactivity with the employers, can you comment on the future of work? More particularly, the type of graduate that will be required to meet future needs.
Absolutely, Jean. And this is something that we work with employers on a continuous basis, because our economy is ever changing, and new needs come up the whole time that we must make sure that our students can meet. Mm-hmm. So we talk with our employers regularly. I'm just off the phone yesterday, Jean, with one very good friend of our BCom program, Tony O'Connor from Dimension Consultancy Group, who works with us in profiling our first-year students and trying to get them employment ready, so they will have the correct terms and the correct words to use when trying to attain an internship, when trying to achieve a work placement, when actually going out into the career world themselves. The great thing about the BCom program, Jean, is the diversity of career paths that are on offer. Mm-hmm. And that is why our whole program is built around this 3+1. The first 3 years rigorously covering business modules, and then in the final year specializing in a business major, an employment-led business major. So that whole program design is built around offering a diversity of career paths, and we work then with a mentor from each of those career paths to make sure that the students are employment ready. Even last year, Jean, we actually made a change to the program based on this advice that we were getting from employers, because previously in CK201, in 4th year, students picked their major in an academic discipline. Mm-hmm. So students would have majored in economics, they would have majored in management or marketing. However, in consultation with employers, what was found is that employers would connect with employment-led majors rather than academic disciplines. So that's why the program was adapted to suit these needs. And now we have a banking and financial markets major, so employers can connect with that type of student. We have an operations and supply chains major. So again, employers can connect better with the skills that a student will have attained from that major rather than an academic discipline. So we're constantly adapting our program to meet the needs of employers.
So the kinds of skills, so you'll have a technical expertise in a particular area, but the skills that hitherto would have been referred to as the soft skills and now are more being referred to as the essential, critical and key skills. What would you say those are?
In the BCom program, we look at critical thinking, Jean. So it is fundamental to our program, and in each of our developmental core modules, that's what we focus on, is critical thinking. To get these students to use their knowledge, Jean, from all their business modules. So these students will be, at the end of their career, identifying problems that are occurring in businesses and providing solutions. And what's very fundamental for us is to have this skill that they're not just going to provide a solution to a business based on their economics knowledge or based on their statistics knowledge or based on their marketing knowledge, that they will have the critical thinking skills to provide solutions for businesses based on connecting all their knowledge. Mm-hmm. From marketing, from management. So a good broad-based recommendation can be made for the company to cover all ends, Jean. So critical thinking is fundamental to our program.
And how, maybe this is kind of going slightly off topic, but I think it's very interesting relating to how do you teach critical thinking?
Yes. It's a very difficult one, Jean. And what I find is in those modules, the lecturers are more facilitators rather than actual lecturers. And for example, let me take our first years at the moment, Jean, who are just starting their second semester. What we've actually done with our first years this year is that we're trying to get them involved in extracurricular activities. So what we want is a graduate at the end of the day who won't just stick to their exact job type and won't do anything over and above that or get involved in the organization. So to try and teach that and to get them to engage, we actually have a business plan competition. And it is voluntary for students to actually partake in it. Now, we sell it as best as we can, but it's voluntary and it's not for academic reward. So again, what we're trying to do is to get them into those skills of critically thinking, this can benefit me in other ways rather than just in an academic result. So we have this business plan competition where they have to identify a business that is suffering during the pandemic and to come up with recommendations for that business to flourish. Now, what we do is we randomly assign groups once the students actually sign up, and we work with the students and we mentor them on each step. And that is a way of teaching critical thinking, Jean, to show the importance even of a process, that you don't just dive into a project, that you would think of it as a series of steps. Mm-hmm. And we divide them up into groups. We set them particular work to do each week. We make sure that in their recommendations that they're not making these recommendations without good justification, and they incorporate different theories. We make sure that they incorporate the theories that they're learning that year. We have Tony O'Connor on board who will mentor them throughout the process as well. And also we have Belbin Ireland on board, Jean, who actually gets involved and profiles each member of each team for us. Mm-hmm. So students will come out with a number of different skills in terms of critical thinking, how to put a project together, how to write a business report, how to present. They will know from working with Tony and Belbin Ireland what type of a team player they are, and do they need to adapt their skills to become a different type of a team player. So in our eyes, that's all teaching them critical thinking without actually doing an hour-long lecture.
So what expertise do we have in Cork, in University College Cork, that relates specifically to what's taught in CK201?
Oh my goodness, Jean, where do I start? The expertise is so varied and so immense in the Cork University Business School. But I think maybe to answer that question, I'll target the different majors that we have on offer again in year 4, those 5 different majors. When they were identified, Jean, we had employer input into what would do employers need in terms of majors, but they were also identified in terms of what research skills has the Cork University Business School to offer the students and to enhance students in. So we have research skills and a lot of publications in terms of banking and financial markets, in operations and supply chains, in marketing, consumer behavior, in human resource and leadership, and of course in our innovation, entrepreneurship and strategy, Jean. And even innovation, entrepreneurship and strategy are the last major I mentioned, Jean. We have a number of successful graduates from that type of major who went on and set up their own business, given the research that was taught to them in the different modules. They went on, and for example, one of our success cases would be Niall Horgan and Diarmuid McSweeney of Gym Plus Coffee, who co-founded the athleisure brand Gym Plus Coffee, which is doing a great trade at the moment. And even from talking to them, Jean, and they did an interview with me for our BCom convention last April, and the link to that is up on the UCC website. You can see that they attributed their success firmly to the business grounding that they got in CK201 via academic modules and the research academics was teaching them, and via the employer input into the program.
So the opportunity also rises for the graduates to pursue obviously master's degrees and PhDs, and therefore there's probably a very dynamic research team across all those disciplines and opportunities for the graduates.
Absolutely, Jean. What we find, and actually there is a slide going up on screen there, Jean, because what we often get asked by students is, first of all, they always focus on the output. And I think more importantly, parents focus on the output of the program, which of course, as a parent, I can understand. What roles do your graduates go into? And you can see from the list on screen there, Jean, we go into journalism, education, banking, marketing, supply chain. The list is endless. But when we looked at some first destination data, we found that 65% of our graduates go straight into employment, Jean. And then approximately 24% take on there what you are talking about, masters and PhD possibilities. But what we actually find is, a lot of students think at the moment that, that if you do a degree, it's not enough. You have to do a master's, that you have to progress. And of course, the more education you have, the better. But what we find in CK201 is that you will be able to find employment with your degree as a BCom graduate.
Okay, so there's so many options, and it seems like such a very exciting degree, first of all, to pursue, and very, very rounded. And then you've got all sorts of opportunities coming out the other end, and you don't have to have your mind made up so young to know where you're going to go. Just to conclude, Rose, it's been very, very interesting chatting to you. And to conclude, are there any myths relating to the study of commerce that you'd like to dispel?
Well, Jean, I would like to dispel that, a lot of students think that if you take the BCom, that you can't do particular elements of business. And that is actually the total opposite, because if you take the BCom, you can become an accountant, you can become a business manager, you can go into the banking market. There is no limitation if you take the BCom. So some students, they're always looking for, okay, there must be something you can't do. And Jean, to be totally honest, there actually isn't with the BCom CK201. It's the flagship program of Cork University's Business School, and it covers all career destinations in the business market. That's the first myth I would like to dispel, Jean. And the second one is, I think, more advice to a student, Jean, rather than a myth. And my advice to a student is that the BCom is very, very different from the BCom International. They're both fantastic programs. Look at the difference of the content. and see which one suits you. As I've already said, Jean, what we're talking about today is our traditional BCom program, CK201. One other piece of advice I would have for a student, Jean, and this might seem a bit strange, is I always think, look at the way the points have gone for the program over the years. And you can see what kind of trend is after happening. And what you can see with the BCom is that it's steadily increasing, but there's no huge peaks and troughs, which means it's not a trendy program. It is a long established program, and the skills that you would attain from CK201 will do you throughout your career life in business, or no matter where you actually end up. So it's not a trendy program that is just popular for a few years and then it's not popular for the next few years. We have a long tradition of leading business education in Ireland, and we certainly do transcend the generations.
And am I correct in saying that for the first 3 years, all students will be doing the same courses? And presumably they range from...
Oh, Jean, in the first year, all modules are compulsory, Jean. So what we find is, again, a student comes in at the age of 19, they don't have to think of, oh, what choices will I pick, what modules will I take? All modules are compulsory. We have a significant number of business modules that range from economics, management, marketing, to statistics, to business, law, and there's a broad range of business modules on offer. In year 2, students have a slightly more choice. They have 10 credits of a choice, and they have a little bit more choice in year 3, but really the choice comes for students in year 4 when they pick one of our fantastic employment-led thematic majors.
So Rosa, thank you very, very much for that. And so on behalf of myself and the listeners, I want to wish you and Dr. Lawrence Dooley continued success as co-directors of CK201. And to anybody listening who is interested by what they heard, there's a lot to be found on the website. And as Rose said in the course of the conversation, you can actually email her or the team directly. So thank you very much for being with us. Thank you.
Employability and career development initiatives are delivered through curricular, co-curricular and extracurricular activities. Over 90% of our programs offer placements internationally and nationally. Throughout your time in UCC, you will have the opportunity to develop employability skills through entrepreneurship modules, skill sessions, and memberships of clubs, societies, becoming a class representative, and getting involved. Throughout your student journey, Ucc Career Services will support your career planning with one-to-one career consultations and coaching. The Career Services collaborate with academic departments and other UCC units to deliver bespoke and standalone employability and career-related workshops and events for all students and recent graduates. Our annual recruitment fair is one of the largest national career fairs, featuring up to 100 top graduate employers. For more information about UCC employability initiatives and the Career Services, visit ucc.ie/careers.